Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the live this week. I am making sure that we are live on all of our channels. We are talking about 5 ways to beat imposter syndrome today. This is going to be a fun topic, one that I feel very strongly about. So whether you are a current OBM, just joined the program, you've been doing it for a while, whatever phase you're in, I think we all can relate to imposter syndrome. And so while we're getting everything set up, the question I want to throw in the chat for those that are joining us on the chat today is, what is one area of your life where you don't feel any imposter syndrome? You feel like, I've got this, I'm in my zone, it's my zone of genius, I don't even think twice about doing it. So that could be a skill that you have, a practice that you do every day, expert knowledge on something. What are some of the things where you know you're in your zone? There's no imposter syndrome that creeps in at all. So if you want to throw those in chat. I know for myself, I could tell you that if you asked me to knit you a hat or a scarf, I would have no problem doing that. Ask me to knit you a sweater or anything more complicated, and then we have to talk about imposter syndrome. That's when that starts to pop up. So I would love to see those comments in chat as we're getting started, and on all the social channels as well. So today, what we want to dive into is the fact, like I said, we all have some form of imposter syndrome in different areas of our life. Want to focus on specifically as you're starting your OBM journey or wherever you are in that phase, whether it's something new or a pivot, we all have that imposter syndrome that we want to deal with. So I know that Ashley and I telling you, you've got this, you can do it. Sometimes we want to have the actual strategies, right? That's what OBMs want. So today, that's what we're going to talk through. And so I love some of these that I'm seeing of where we just feel like we're in our zone of cooking or baking. I wish that's definitely one area that I have imposter syndrome. Teaching other crafty arts, I love it. And sometimes you just can't think of any. Sometimes it's a challenge for what pops, like when we ask for the positive thing of what might pop into our head. So just keep your scrap pad there and write them down as they do pop in. So talking about imposter syndrome. So first, let's just talk about the definition of what it is. And it's that persistent inability to believe that in our own success is deserved and that we legitimately have achieved a result based on our own effort or skill, right? So let me know if you can relate to this, any areas that right now you can think of where that is popping up for you. I'm sure you won't be the only one. But all of this imposter syndrome, first thing that I want to talk about is that I think everyone feels this way. I have yet to meet a successful person that doesn't have some area of their professional life where they say, I'm still waiting to get found out that I'm a fake, right? It's just part of us as human nature that we do doubt what we have. And one reason that could be is, as someone who wants to grow professionally, you put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Being uncomfortable can relate to that feeling of, am I good enough? Do I have the skills? Do I have all the talent? So they go hand in hand with growth. So areas such as like public speaking, leading a team, if you're asked to be the new team leader, a new initiative, we're going to get those butterflies in our stomach. Joining a new group, maybe the first time you're joining a team, or you've gone out and said, I want to now participate in this community gathering. I'm going to go do something different. We get a little nervous about being the first time we join that. Even just basic sports activities, the first time I've got to go into a yoga class, I've never been there before, that imposter syndrome creeps up. Who do I think I am to be coming in here and doing this? So we're going to talk about 5 ways that we can quiet this inner critic, 5 ways to move through this discomfort. And I want you to take some notes to just remind yourself the next time you're feeling it, what can we do to reset so that we're not letting imposter syndrome hold us back? Okay. Please throw any questions or comments that you have in the chat. And again, if it's something that you're thinking, I'm sure someone else here is thinking it also, myself included. So the first one of the 5 is just acknowledgement. We need to acknowledge that imposter syndrome is part of the deal. Like I said, when we're trying to do something new, something different, we are going to be nervous. This means that we have the intention of doing a good job and putting our best self forward. We have an expectation that we will present ourselves well. And so with that comes nervousness. And it could feel like you're nervous, you're anxiety, or even excited. All of those sort of have the same manifestations in our body, right? Our heart rate goes up, we might sweat a little, we might feel the same. So we need to acknowledge that that is there with us. And this is part of saying, I have agreed to challenge myself here. This is going to be part of what's happening. So when we identify that, then we can quickly say, okay, let me take some deep breaths. Let me feel grounded. Let me do, talk to myself, whatever those things are, the superwoman pose, to make ourselves get back into our bodies a little bit and again, ground ourselves and realize, okay, this is part of it. We're going to get through this. And so if we know that this is, I always get a little bit nervous when I'm around new people, right? We can notice our own behaviors and just say, this is part of the deal. If this is learning a new software, we can realize I do hold myself to an expectation that I'll pick up things quickly. And I need to give myself a break here. So again, if we can acknowledge that imposter syndrome is going to be there, then we don't get sidelined by those feelings or that nervousness that can pop up, and we can start to move through it. It's sort of like acknowledging, there's a great quote by Elizabeth Gilbert that it's going to be there in the back seat of the car as you're driving, but you don't ever have to let it drive or give you directions, right? It's just part of the process. So acknowledgement is our first one. We're going to acknowledge that we are human, and this is a natural part of doing things. Number 2, we're going to speak truth to our imposter syndrome. We're going to actually identify, is this real? So let me know if any of you guys can relate to this, but anytime that we're trying to do something new or something challenging, there is a reflection on something that we've done in our past. So this is, conditioning is a part of everyone's development as humans, whether that is our parents that showed us how to do something, things that we learned in school, a teacher, a community, a network. Somewhere along the way, someone was giving us guidelines of this is how you do it correctly, right? That's conditioning. And there's also some marker of how you do things wrong. Maybe you witness someone else making a mistake. You witness someone else getting in trouble. You have a past experience with the way someone delivers really blunt opinions. That is conditioning your perspective on how you're going to interact in a new situation. So when we speak truth to this imposter syndrome, we're first is it true that I don't know how to do this? Well, no. You might not know how to do it, but you know how to learn. You've learned things in the past. You're going to speak truth to your abilities then to move forward and to get through this. We're going to identify, I'm bringing in that past experience with a toxic coworker into this situation, and these people are more than willing to support me. So it is a safe place to learn this new skill. And it's a safe place to ask for help. So we're going to let go of that conditioning. We're just going to acknowledging that it's there, that it's part of it, and then make decisions on how we're going to move forward in this situation. Okay, number 3, we're going to get really clear on our why. And what I mean here is that when we know we're going to be uncomfortable, we know that we have past experiences that we might not want to revisit, and these are going to pop up for us again as we're putting ourselves in a new situation, a new challenge. We're going to get clear on why do we want to do this, right? So if we've decided we're going to go out, we're going to start our own business, we're looking at this is going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel bumpy. I'm not going to know what I'm doing. I'm going to have to ask for help. All of that feels uncomfortable, and I'm going to think, who am I to do this? But when we know the why, then we can keep going. And this is where I highly encourage you to be taking those notes, writing it down, put your sticky notes everywhere to keep reminding yourself why you want to put yourself in the uncomfortable situation in the first place, and get really clear on that. Share it with other people. Let them know what your goal is so they can help support you. So again, when we feel like I have no idea what I'm doing, but I know that this means I'm going to have more freedom. This means I'm going to have more money in my bank account. This means that I won't have to ask somebody else for a day off next time I want to do something with my daughter. That's your why behind this. And it helps us balance out being uncomfortable. Okay. Number 4. We're going to identify the clear outcome. So again, we know why we're doing it. Now we want to know what that looks like. And for all of my other OBM-minded friends out there, I want to take it, we have what our expectation is of ourselves of we'll never have to ask a question. We'll be able to train someone else within 2 hours. We'll be able to deliver the second ask the question. But let's get a realistic one. So, right. So if this is the first time we're doing a consultation call with a potential client, right? And our imposter syndrome is creeping in and telling us, what are you doing? Can you really do this? Do you know what you're talking about? We need to have a realistic expectation of the end of the conversation of a call does not have to be, I have solved all of their business problems. It can simply be, we're going to walk away both with a clear understanding of what the other person can deliver, right? They have a business offering that they need help with, and you have a solution that possibly could meet there. That's our outcome. It doesn't have to be winning the race, getting the gold medal, and being up on the podium. It could just be, I want to finish the race. I'm going to walk the last mile. So be really clear about what that outcome is so that we can give ourselves the grace to move through this. Again, it's allowing the space for that imposter syndrome. It's going to be there the first time we do something. Until those activities that we can do in our zone of genius, we've done those over and over again, right? We were uncomfortable the first time we did that. So when we have that clear outcome and one that is realistic and in alignment with what we need to achieve, then we can allow the space for the discomfort, get through it. And the fourth time you do this, that imposter syndrome is going to be shrunk down to nothing. Okay, and number 5. This one is having a strategy. So just like how we have these 5 things today, we want to make sure that as we're moving through this goal, this first interaction with a client, the first time we're going to train someone on something, the first time we're going to deliver a dashboard report, that we have a strategy for how we're going to do that. What are the check-in points? Do we want to have room to ask questions throughout so we can make sure this person's really understanding and the outcome that I want to deliver is there? I also encourage you to have a record. Write down in the beginning what you want, and then check in with yourself afterwards on what did you achieve and what do you want to do different next time. There's always that room for growth. We want to make sure we do celebrate those small victories. So again, why I asked in the beginning, what are the areas of your zone of genius where you don't have any imposter syndrome? We want to make sure we remind ourselves we do have those in our lives and that there probably was a time when we didn't feel so comfortable. Also, making sure that we have a person that we can go back to reflect on this. So this could be a mentor. This could be it could be, if you're in the OBM program, it could be Ashley or myself. This could be your partner, your best friend, someone that you have the ability to go to and share, hey, I'm uncomfortable, but then also go back to and brag on yourself and say, look what I did, so that they can remind you the next time that consultation call comes up with a new customer, they can say, remember when you hit it out of the park last time. It's just really important that we write it down for ourselves and have those mile markers, but also have someone to help us reflect. So those are our 5 ways to beat imposter syndrome. So 1 is acknowledging. 2, we're going to know the truth about what our skills are and our abilities to learn new things and to face challenges and the ability to be uncomfortable. We're going to know our why. Why do we really want to go through this? What is it that why do we want to grow and change? We're going to have a clear outcome that is realistic and in alignment with what it should be at that endpoint. And 5, we're going to have our strategies. We're going to have the things that we know will help us move through those mile markers of success. What is it that I need to do and keep myself going along the way so that as we get nervous, as we need to stop and breathe, we can say, yep, I'm doing well. I'm getting eye contact. I'm getting head nods, whatever that is for engagement that we need to help remind ourselves that we are in the right place. So let me know if any of these hit home. If there's one that's in particular, you're like, I need to make a note of that and remind myself next time that this is what I need to do, that maybe we create unrealistic goals and expectations. Maybe we don't keep reminding ourselves about our why. Maybe it is just reminding ourselves that with that conditioning, there's things that we have to break down in order to build back up. So those are the 5 ones. Let me know if you have any questions. You can post in chat here, or we're always available to chat with us more in the community, in the Facebook group. But thank you so much for joining us today.